Evan Mobley, a player who's coming off a DPOY caliber season and many consider to be now the second best player on the Cleveland Cavaliers, even with a player like Darius Garland, a player that now many people are looking at to possibly have top 10 to top 15 in the NBA next coming year. Now, I understand he made an All-NBA team that would put him at this caliber, but I also do want to warn people. So today we ask the question, how good is Evan Mobley really, or how good can he really be? And we got to start talking about the side of the ball that we obviously would have more questions about, and that would be his offense. And Evan Mobley has shown a lot of offensive growth in this last year with Kenny Atkinson. When you look at his all-around numbers, he has significantly improved as a three-point shooter, at least with the volume, because obviously you go, well, Emster last year had 37, but he drastically increased volume by up to 3 threes a game. He's up to about 19, 9, and 3. And I would honest to God tell you guys, as long as he's on a team like the Cavs, and I think just in general with his skill set, I wouldn't look for too much more from Evan Mobley at this point offensively. I think if you're asking me what he could be at his absolute best, like let's say Garland's off the team, it's just him and Mitchell. Maybe it's like 22, and that's good. Is that a top 10 player in the league? I don't think so. Is he a top 5 to 3 defender in the league? Absolutely. But even when you look at like the overall offensive game, right? He can create for himself, of course, but that's not really what you want him to be doing. So he still kind of needs someone else to help create for him. I think he's good at getting downhill, but again, that's not really what you want from Evan Mobley. And that's okay, right? There are certain things that every player in the league, you're not going to want them to do certain things. I think with these offensive limitations, and then again, I think he's a solid passer, but nothing crazy. Obviously, he's going to help you get O boards, which is good. But you look at his overall shot selection here from cleaning the glass, accuracy-wise, he's not really that great of a mid-range guy. It doesn't take a lot. He's very good at the rim, which is obviously helpful, but he's only taking about 3 threes a game. So unless you guys think Evan Mobley's jumping up to 5-6 games at about, or 5-6 threes a game at about a 38 to 39% clip, and he just becomes like Cat with super defense, then you got it. But I think he's still severely limited as a ball handler and creator, not only for himself, but for others. And that, I think, puts a hard cap on how good Evan Mobley can truly be. Again, not to say he's a bad player, and we're going to look into that right now. And just to show that there is a level of research I've been doing for this video, even when you go to the NBA's website and you get isolation stats, he's 43% from the field in ISO, right, throughout the regular season. He's, again, 45% effective field goal, and I'll have a picture up here to help make it easier for you guys. But again, I don't think he's a guy that you really want to create for himself. So you already, to me, hard cap it at what he can be as an offensive player. At that point, he to me would be about a Chet Holmgren level, because I do think that they both have a struggle creating for themselves consistently on offense. I think around the rim, obviously, they're going to do their thing. Now, obviously, I do think Mobley at this point is better than Chet. I'm not trying to make that argument. I just think when you look at the offensive package of Evan Mobley as a whole, I don't know how you could confidently look at that and claim that he's only going to get even better and that he will climb his way up those ranks. I find it very difficult. Now we can talk about him as a defender and why that side of the coin, if you tried to argue off that, I can see the merit putting him at about 15 to 14, and we'll get right into that now. And then obviously defensively, Evan Mobley is easily one of the best players in basketball on that side of the ball. The rim protection stats alone are insane. I'm going to put some up for you guys right here. And just to show you guys just the overall rim deterrence and just, again, the ability to lock it down and not be easily manipulated by guards, I think is a very, very strong attribute at hand. And I think, again, if you went off the defense and you do believe in the offensive jump, I can maybe see top 10. But if you're like Emster, this guy's going to be a top, I don't know, 3 to 4 defender in the league for the next 10 years. And his offense giving you 23 to 24 a game at a, second best player, third best player level is better than a lot of dudes in the NBA. Maybe I can see it. And again, defensively, he's a big reason that this, game, this team of the Cavaliers can work. right? And honestly, it's why I think they should have moved off of Jared Allen already and just let Mobley run the 5. And you try and figure out your 4-man from there. But instead, you kind of hope Jared Allen stays as your rim guy. And that, that still helps for Mobley, because Mobley's still a more than good enough help side defender and everything. But I think defensively, you're not going to see a whole lot more from Mobley unless he becomes the primary 5-man. And then I think people will probably talk about him as a rim protector a lot more. But again, I just think, as great as it is, to me, if you're going to be that great a defender, you need to have a Giannis, Victor Wembanyama level of like Anthony Davis level of like, he's giving you 27, 28 a game. Now, I know Victor isn't averaging that, but he has the actual, I think, ceiling and potential to reach that I think would put his game and put his, caliber of player on a higher level. I personally think he's a top 25-ish player, just because, again, like, I do believe that as great as a defender as he is, I still think his offense is limited in the ISO game. And I think that at times his inability to create for himself is a little damning, similar to a Chet Holmgren. So for me, there's a limit. And we're going to get into that overall discussion here. So here, guys, I'm going to put some stuff here up on the screen, just so you guys know I'm not talking out my butt when I say people are talking about Evan Mobley. Now, shout out to all these creators. This is obviously no shot or nothing. But when you see Evan Mobley ranked 3rd on a players to build around list over dudes like, even though I'm not the biggest fan of some of them, like Cade, Paolo, why is Evan Mobley over those players? Why is he the one that can make the leap to the top 10 to top 15? That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Because if we're being honest too, we might be very close to the ceiling of Evan Mobley. Like, again, if he hits the 21 to 22, that is probably his absolute peak. Like, that's his best. And by the way, that's a damn good NBA player. Like, remarkable, right? Because you got a top 3 defender and a top, I don't know, whatever you want to put him as an offensive player. So he's still a damn good offensive player. But am I going to take that to be top 10 in the league? No. Am I taking him over dudes like Cade? No. Paolo? No. I'm going to be honest, I don't know personally if I'm taking him over Jalen Williams. I would take him over Chet, though, but you're not convincing me on J-Dub. You're not. J-Dub is still an elite defender himself, and he's still I would say, damn near clears offensively compared to Mobley. I don't know why he would be so high on the build-around list, because he's not that great of an offensive generator himself, right, compared to Apollo or Cade. The defense, he's probably the second best on the list. Obviously, you got Victor there. So I personally, again, this is not to say that Evan Mobley is garbage or that he's no good or that he's overrated. I'm just not sure where we've seen enough from him to legitimately put him in these arguments and these conversations. Because if Evan Mobley had to be a Cade Cunningham or Apollo Banchero, I think we would look at him significantly worse. And by the way, that is not what every player is meant to be. And I don't like always doing the hypothetical, thing. But at some points, you kind of have to, because he's in a situation where he gets to be that 3rd option on, any given night, maybe a 2nd, right? And that's a whole different burden on a player. And that, I think, changes the conversation. So let me know what you guys think about Evan Mobley. Do you agree with me that people are a little too early or a little too quick to try and put him up on these high rankings? Or do you think it's about time? Do you see the legitimate potential on offense? As always, this was Mr. Knows Hoops. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe. Have a beautiful rest of your day, guys. Peace out.